Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all League of Legends fans. We got another exciting week as we start wrapping up the playoff seasons here for the Upsurge Premier League here on twitch.tv/Upsurge Esports. My name is Mark Rafa Alexander Arambide, and for the first time, I'm going to be working with the legendary Trevor Audio Adrenaline Goodrich. Or do you go just by audio now, Trevor?
I try to go by audio now, but I mean, I appreciate you not only knowing the full name but bringing it out on stream. It's crazy we haven't casted together before. I am so excited for this matchup, not only on the caster desk, but on Summoner's Rift as well. We've got 100 next going up against Full Spectrum, and whew, is it going to be a doozy?
Absolutely. And if you guys were tuning into last week's match, then you'll know it was a kind of a big curb stomp by Issue is Critical against Full Spectrum, who are now fighting for their lives to stay alive in the losers brackets. And when you're trying to survive, a giant obstacle in 100 Thieves next is one that you are not looking forward to.
Yeah, and an obstacle is exactly what they are. This immovable force. They seem so strong. One of the favorites to go all the way to the finals to face off against First Blood Crusades. You talked about Issues Critical. They're already sitting in there to fight for that third place spot. 100X and Full Spectrum have this game and then one more to go through before they can fight for that third place spot and then eventually go on to face First Blood Crusade in the finals. So still a lot of League of Legends left to play. We are very early in the playoff season. I am excited to see how this shakes up because, I mean, we've already had a few upsets throughout the season and coming into playoffs. And then I was so sure coming into this, but in League of Legends, anything goes.
Anything goes. I mean, especially if a game goes past 40 minutes, all gloves are off. It doesn't matter how hard one team was stomping in the early game. If you fail to close out the early that lead, that snowball that you basically built up for yourself, then who can say that you deserve to win the game if then the other team capitalizes on the mistakes that you made and then takes the game overall. But as we get ready for the draft phase here, audio, we're not on 10.7 yet. So I know we've been reading the patch notes. We're excited about some things. Fiddlesticks, even once he comes out tomorrow, he's not going to be available on any of the games for about a week or so. But we're still on 10.6, so we're still looking at strong top lane priority champions. Set is a monster. There's some teams that still prioritize Aatrox despite him getting the nerf hammer. What are some other champions that you're looking at here?
Yeah, so 100 at next is going to have blue side, and I definitely expect them to go for the pretty standard first pick of whatever is kind of up, whether it be the Ornn or the Set are kind of the big two right now in this meta. If those two are both banned away in the red side, which isn't unusual, you could expect them to go something towards the ADC, grab a solid bot lane for themselves. I'm thinking of Philios or Misfortune, and then look up to grab their support and jungler. That's kind of the standard right now. You grab the bottom lane plus jungler unless there's a big power pick up on the table. Where I'm really interested to watch the draft is actually in the second rotation when we're starting to look at these counter picks and getting these favorable matchups where both teams can see part of the enemy composition and are picking reactively, not just safe blind picks.
And not only counter picks as new picks coming into the draft phase, but potentially picks that you already established that your team might think is for one role, but through the power of flex picks, as we've seen how strong and valuable they can be for certain teams that have practiced them in multiple roles, they can completely throw a team off guard. I remember there was one team going in the academy a week ago that's would eventually evolved into the Set phase rush jungle flavor. It is not the most successful pick, but can definitely attest that it is something strong. And just because Set in itself is a champion that is very powerful once it is ahead, I wonder if there's something that either is up 100 Thieves next or Full Spectrum sleeves in terms of standard picks that could be flexed to other roles tonight.
Set and phase rush are three words that I do not want put into the same sentence. That sounds absolutely horrible to play against. And especially in the jungle, that just having a phase rush Set running at me through the lane it's stuff of nightmares. But I mean, yeah, I think Set is strong enough where you can flex them around, and flex picks have been absolutely huge already this season throughout all different kinds of metas. And I think it would definitely be within the realm of possibilities for these teams to prioritize the flex picks to hide what they're actually going to do throughout the rest of the draft. I did get Okay, I did just get confirmation that Wukong is disabled for this match. So that is actually going to be a big deal. Wukong, even after his hot fixes, is in a pretty strong spot. He went from being a super burst heavy assassin to this kind of extended fight brawling melee champ that get a ton of armor throughout the fight, not to mention all the extra CC he has. So without him on the table, we are back to just thinking about the Orns, the sets, and those kind of power picks for these first pick rotations. If you throw Wukong in the mix, I mean, the entire draft looks different.
Yeah, and I think there are some players that were definitely surprised if, and so we were just making sure that whether that champion was up and available. But yeah, it will not be available for tonight's series at all. So that, because that's definitely a curveball that could be thrown into some wrenches, because we already the hot fixes coming in live a few days ago meant that, that's a champion that you definitely want to look out for. And speaking of flex picks, we've seen that champion already being flexed in top, jungle, I believe mid lane in certain matchups as well. But we
Absolutely.
don't have to worry about the Monkey King tonight. We can look at other champions
Hurrah!
that hurrah. We don't have to deal with the monstrosity that is Wukong right now. Looking at last week's matchup, I know that there is a lot of priority for DMK on the Lee Sin. That is something that he does love going to. And I mean, we saw the plays, we saw the flat insect flash. Those playmaking, that playmaking is available for TMK. The problem is it wasn't enough to carry the early game for full spectrum against issue is critical. But we know that Kenvi is also a monster on Lee Sin, and if he has to, he will be relegated to a tank slave role. We've seen him pick up the Sejuani, but the draft phase is now live.
Yeah, enough of this theory crafting. Let's see what actually happens. We're already through a couple of the bans, so that set we talked about, they're gone.
And we are already with the first pick for 100 Thieves. It's going to be the Senna. We know Otto and Poom love to run the fasting Senna lane. More than likely, however, it will be paired with Tom Kench, and I'm not the biggest fan. Not saying because it's effective, but because it's just boring. I will be plain and honest. I love seeing stuff like fasting Volibear because that's hype, but already full spectrum, thankfully, is going to take away the snoozer champion Tom Kench along with the Forest. Now we
We
have
are
a Zach
rapid
pick.
fire through
We
this
are
draft.
breezing through this draft pick, and Graves is locked in. So that means more than
Woo!
likely. Now, before we get into further speculation, these two picks, Zach and Graves, are both flex picks for top and jungle, respectively, and potentially jungle mid or top.
Yeah, so what I expect is going to happen is we're going to see a top lane Zac with a Graves jungle. On the other side, we did have the Senna come through for 100 Thieves. Varus Tom Kench is a very solid lane for full spectrum because not only do you get a strong laner in Varus, tons of CC for these mid-game team fights around objectives, the Tom Kench is also a really good take-away pick. So I really like the beginning to this draft from full spectrum. Now, the Zac top is a bit of a strange blind. You can aggress on it pretty heavily early on, but with the Graves coming through, a Zac plus Graves is going to be a very strong 2v2 duo. So depending on what full spectrum actually decide to pick into that Zac, we do see them grabbing the Gragas in the jungle. I think 100 Thieves is going to have a pretty solid time up there on that top side as long as Zac gets some resources.
Absolutely. Full spectrum, taking away a lot of mid lane picks. Now, I'm pretty sure the safe bet is, as you said, Zach top lane and then Graves jungle. But I'm gonna let you know, if Graves mid comes in and Zach jungle is the standard, then I told you so. But Aatrox coming in should be a pretty decent matchup into the Zach. Neither should lose that insanely hard. So if they want to go with just Zach Graves as the rotation, they can, and now look towards a support champion for Poom and then a mid laner for Copy.
Yeah, look for 100 Thieves to grab a very strong mid laner here. You already have the Zac up in the top side and the Sen on the bottom. This really speaks to me as a supportive style comp that is going to be focused on providing safety for one or two carries to do a lot of work. And that's going to be the Graves and the Syndra. Gangplank locked in here. That
Syndra bot
changes
lane?
up a lot. Okay, that's going to be a Zac support there. We're going to see a Gangplank up in the top side. Most likely so we're gonna have Graves jungle. we're gonna wait till we get into the actual client because this is
Yeah,
all sorts of
yeah,
crazy.
I can definitely believe Zach support. And that he would work extremely well with Senna fasting because Zach with a ton of income is a very strong Zach, and through. I think Korea started that Zach support trend a couple patches ago, where just being able to abuse the, my friends call it the uwu alcove.
I think
Valentine's Day,
that's the
I
official
apologize.
name for it now. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we just
yeah.
named it right
Official
now. But
name. But just being able to abuse that fog of war and elastic slingshotting, even just only having 1 point in it, if you want to max W for lane control, it should be enough range for you to be able to set up ganks, and then your jungle comes in, and you all have all the CC you need, and then Zach, of course, with all that income, it's going to be a terrifying bot lane.
well, strange like actual placements of these champions aside, I think 100 Thieves do have a very solid scaling composition. If you can get to the 35-40 minute mark, especially with the right kind of objectives under your belt, you have a very solid front line, a lot of burst and team fight potential with all the CC they've got packed into their kit, and just kind of scaling across the board. You have Gangplank as that late game insurance. So I definitely think it's going to be on full spectrum to try to make something happen in the first 30 minutes, because if they don't, eventually this Gangplank and the Syndra and the Zac are just going to be too much for them to do.
And now this is the moment of truth. You know, we get to see where things will go.
It is a Graves jungle.
All right, yeah. So the Senna Zac will be the bottom lane combo for Otto and Poom. Oh man, Audio, I'm so excited. I have actually never seen a Zac support in competitive. I've just seen it in solo queue and in some very shenanigans type normal games. We'll just put it that way. And now we get to see it played by some of the best here in UPL. And I have no words, Audio. Yeah, I just want to
I
get into this
actually,
match.
I love this. I love the ingenuity coming out from this team. What Zac is going to allow them to do, because Kenvi picked a jungler that does not have very much CC. You have a small slow on your smoke, but Zac is going to be allowed to roam around with the Graves and kind of be the engage for these ganks. So Senna isn't exactly the champion that you want to leave farming alone, especially if you go the support item route. But if there's ever an opportunity, expect Pume to just group up with Kenvi and have these long range engages from Fog of War into the mid or top lane where they have tons of damage to follow up these CC.
Now, the only thing I am slightly concerned about is we didn't get to talk about the last pickup for the side of full spectrum. It wasn't Echo for Sudsy in the mid lane, and historically that is a very favorable matchup for Echo into the Syndra, as you have strong wave clear with that Time Winder, and then as soon as you get to level 6, if Copy ever uses the Unleashed Power, Chrono Break, all that damage goes away, and then your base kit is strong enough to just be able to run Syndra down.
Yeah, I do like the Echo coming through as well. It's going to be a bit of a skill matchup into the Syndra. Copy is probably going to have the push advantage here early on, just having the ranged into melee matchup. Sudsy should be fine. You have your Q to clear the waves, and you have tons of safety with your mobility, especially post 6 when you get access to that ultimate. But later on to the game, there is so much pick potential on the squad of full spectrum. You have the Gragas, Cask, and the Varus to engage from long range. Tom Kench is going to allow you to be very aggressive and still have some modicum of safety. If Sudsy, Vodor, or Vex ever get in trouble, Fizzy's going to be there to get him out of any sticky situations. So, two really strong comps. I can't wait to see how they shake out.
Absolutely. And when we're looking at that mid-game power spike in the pick composition for the side of full spectrum, you cannot deny that they have a little bit of late-game scaling power. The Aatrox can always be a monster in team fights. Echo just gets further and further to a point where he can one-shot certain backliners. And, of course, this Varus more than likely should be running the Lethal Temple on-hit build. If we do see a full lethality build, then we'll see how more mid-game focused this composition is. But you look on the other side for 100 Thieves, it's a time bomb, especially the Gangplank up in the top lane, as well as the Senna as well. So it's going to be up to full spectrum to try and be able to deal with Kenvi on this Graves and try and get this Echo rolling and accelerate the mid game. But as we are loading onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, we have a quick message from one of our sponsors in Sector 6.
Started with a vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are on the rift for Game 1 between 100 Thieves Next and Full Spectrum Esports. And off air, guys, Trevor was telling me how much he didn't want to see Lethality Varus, but alas, King Vex has went with Arcane Comet, so more than likely we should be seeing a Yumu's Ghost Blade out of this guy first item.
Yeah, I mean, it's not guaranteed. You still can go the regular Varus build. And we've actually even seen the AP Varus coming back just a little bit. Does give tons of max health damage with your Blight stack. So I wouldn't be super surprised if we saw like maybe a Nashor's Tooth or, even a Death Cap later on. But that'd be super spicy. But I think Lethality Varus against a team with a Senna and a Zac there's going to be enough sustain to withstand the poke, right? Unless you get into a scenario where you're just kind of stomping on their enemies, which is what Full Spectrum want to do. I think Lethality Varus will be a bit diminished in its power because of all the healing.
It looks like Tenacity and Kenvi are preparing for an invade of some sort as they now start walking towards DMK. Rodolph is going to give him the leash, but the question is, do they see him on the ward yet? They have the sweeper for the level 1. DMK and Rodolph, can they fight off Tenacity and Kenvi? That's the question, but it looks like he's just going to try to run him down. He tries to get the spin around, the loop-de-loop, but it's not going to get him out. Kenvi with the phase rush and first blood picks up red buff. Now looks to run down Rodolph, forcing the flash out. Massive start for 100 Thieves next.
Beautiful play from Kenvi and Tenacity. They roam in. Now the bot lane's getting a bit aggressive. Okay, I think they're going to be cool, but you saw Kenvi and Tenacity. They run in, they immediately target down Dragonman Kim. They know that he is a very squishy Gragas that doesn't really have access to a lot of healing yet, and as soon he flashes away, but he doesn't use the smite on the red buff, so he doesn't get a heal back. I think he might have been able to survive if he did. Still, though, regardless, great job by Kenvi. Not only steals away a buff, he gets a kill for himself.
Yeah, especially when you're on an aggressive jungler like Graves who wants to be able to snowball. This is a beautiful start for Kenvi. He is down a summoner now, but it's going to be the same story for DMK, who is now bot side at only level 2, wants to make something happen here. Otto is going to get flashed on by Fizzy, getting the exhaust down as well. Otto still holding his flash, already popping the heal. Poom trying to buy as much time as he can, but it's a 2-on-3, and Otto will eventually fall as Poom getting the flash out just before the DMK body slam does connect. And just like that, DMK is able to make an impact back on the map.
Yeah, I gotta say, that was straight disrespectful from Otto and Pume. Their jungler was on the top side making an early play, and the Senna got chunked out level 1 by the Comet Varus. So the fact that they were so far up without any vision, it's not a surprise that they got ganked. Suzy getting poked down pretty low there in the mid lane. The Syndra with the range advantage, having a good time against the Echo. Does have corrupting potions, so he's staying healthy for now. At least until the Syndra mana bar does run dry.
And I would imagine that Suzy is looking for a better back timing. He's sitting only on 1k gold, and if he wants to go for the Proto Belt first rush, he does have an option to be able to just go ahead and pick up the Kindle Jump. But if he wants to get a couple more items, maybe a Dark Seal to boot, he would need about 350 more in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see that because Dragonman Kim went bot side to help out with that play, he's able to get his bot laners a kill. But it does mean that Kenvi has a massive lead over him. He's already 2 camps. Dragon Kim just picked up his wolves to try to get some back. It does have Raptors and Krugs available too, but as it stands, Kenvi is going to be much stronger at any point they meet.
And Kenvi already picking up a Chilling Smite instead of the Skirmisher Smite, which I find a little interesting that since you already get so much movement speed, but I guess with the lack of crowd control from top lane, maybe that will be available to allow him to run down Rodolph on this Aatrox without Flash. Poom. Oh, that might have not been the best time to use your Elastic Slingshot without Flash available, but thanks to Senna, it's going to be able to walk away with a W. Meanwhile, mid lane can't say the same for Sudsy. Still has Flash if he needs it, but getting blinded by the smoke screen means that it's lights out for him and another kill for Kenvi.
And you want to know why he took the blue smite? There you go. Kenvi's able to walk in and just run at Sudsy after he uses that E to engage. Nothing left for him to escape. All of the slows coming through from Chilling Smite, plus the smoke. And Kenvi is just on a tear this game. We talked about how Full Spectrum wanted to get some moves made early. Kenvi is taking that philosophy to heart as he is already 2-0 and working on soloing down that dragon just 5 minutes in.
And Kenvi is only just going to get stronger with the more gold that he gets. So him snowballing earlier just means that Full Spectrum, their timer is just shortened that much more. But Kenvi getting super low, trying to start up the dragon, going to get collapsed on by Sudsy, and DMK does force a summoner out of auto as he's going to have to flash away from danger. The early dragon start, maybe a little too much by Kenvi as he was looking to limit, test, and push how much his advantage could go.
Yeah, he was probably expecting Dragon and Kim to be on the top side. The Gragas actually hasn't cleared his Krugs or Raptors up to this point. He has spent the entire game after that initial level 1 play in the bottom quadrant of the map. So I think Kenvi was correct to go for the dragon there. Just didn't expect there to be any opposition. Now, here comes another play.
Poom with the Elastic Slingshot pulls Fizzy right back into the fray, and they should be able to get the last tick of damage. Kenvi with the 3rd kill of the game, and Poom doesn't even die, not even having to burn his passive quite yet. So that's going to be valuable and available for Poom if they want to set up a dive later on into the game.
Yeah, and with their jungler in their back pocket, Otto and Poom feel super confident going for that one. Now Copy.
Gotta be careful. Wanted to step up forward to prevent DMK from getting out safely, but Sutzi is also there, and you can't disrespect a Neko in melee range.
Yeah, he does have level 6, so if he was able to land some sort of Scatter the Weak into ultimate, there was nothing saving DMK, as Kenvi still had flash, could have got over that wall super easily. I do like him backing off, though, as soon as Sutzi shows up. First Dragon, still on the table for both these teams. It is an Infernal Drake, not the best one to have as a solo Drake, but who doesn't love a couple of extra AD and AP? As the game stands right now, we're at a fairly even state, laning-wise. Pretty good advantage for Vex and Fizzy here on the bottom side. CS is fairly even, but Vex picking up that 1 kill has got them an advantage. But the big story of the game right now is Kenvi, 3-0. Wherever he is where 100 Thieves next have a huge advantage.
Sutzi getting some poke damage on the copy, but now is going to get wrapped around by Kenvi here, and DMK is not quite there to be able to get him out alive, and it appears that Sutzi had already used his Chrono Break some time ago, and without it being able to escape, Kenvi just picks up his 4th kill of the game here.
Yeah, I don't exactly know where that one got burnt, but I mean, goodbye Kenvi to track it and take advantage of it. He's 4-0 right now. There is nothing Full Spectrum can do to contest his objective as long as Kenvi is there. I mean, he has a finished Stalker's Blade with the Warrior enchantment, and Dragon the Kim is still sitting on Hunter's Talisman plus Hunter's Machete. He hasn't even gotten an effect on his Smite yet because he had to make that pit stop for the boots to get use out of his Predator. So it is actually just ridiculous how far ahead this Graves is, and now they're making another play bot.
Oh, and with all the crowd control, it barely allows King Vex to get swallowed up by Fizzy, but is it enough? No! The answer is there. Kenvi, with the collateral damage, takes down King Vex, despite burning both Sums as well as Fizzy's flash, and the advantage continues snowballing in favor of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, great Shroud there by the Graves to block off vision from Fizzy. Might have been able to get Vex out of there if he had flashed with Vex in his mouth. But he couldn't see that his jungler was right around the corner because his vision was impaired. Now, grabbing a plate for themselves, putting Otto and Pume even further ahead right now. And, I mean, just complete dominance so far in the first 10 minutes from 100 Thieves. Remember, they have the scaling comp. They have a Gangplank. They have the Senna. There is no reason for them to be playing this fast, but my God, is it working well for them.
Yeah, Kenvi... You can never count out Kenvi to play the game slow. Yeah, Kenvi always wants to be able to push the tempo whenever he can get, and it doesn't matter what champion he's running. Even when he's playing Sejuani or the tankiest of tanks, he's always looking to make plays early, and that's what makes 100 Thieves next so powerful in the early game, is just you have this player who just wants to get in your face and take things away on his own time.
All right, as Slane shoves in, I want to take a quick check at the number of souls. Otto is currently sitting 1 away from his 40th soul. So about to get that huge range upgrade. There it is. He has 40 souls now, and they're looking to fight. Or not.
Almost looking. It was close. Fizzy was locked down, but...
You can tell they wanted to. With the Glacial Augment, the extra range on the Senna is actually so good at engaging. There it is. Or not. Maybe.
Well, King Vex has to force the ultimate out. Chain of Corruptions will come out. Meanwhile, DMK was looking for a steal, but is going to get routed off by Copy. Tries to run away with the hell away. Does actually manage to get the flash out, but Poom wants the
not a Poom as much.
Flash and Ignite Gaken down onto DMK, and he's going to slam him down, and in style pops the stopwatch as well. Crying emote, FaZe coming out with the Amumu style flare. Oh my God, Audio. The first 10 minutes of this game is an absolute wash in favor of 100 Thieves.
Doesn't even use the passives. I mean, good job there by Vodar to stop the back from Gangplank, but I mean, this is going to be a first turret for 100 Thieves as well, as they have the Herald in the bot lane. Kenvi just summoned that one off. They take the 2 plates. They're going to get the rest of them. Shelly charges in, and it is a 6,000 gold lead just 11 minutes in for 100 Thieves next. and it has been the Kenby show from start to finish. 6-0-1. I mean, this man does not want to waste any time getting to the finals.
And audio, yeah, we have a replay here, audio. I think you should take us through what the hell just happened in the pan of that 30 seconds.
Yeah, so, I mean, good escape here initially by Dragonkin. He's able to use the Predator to get over the wall after just barely surviving the burst from Syndra. But Pume, I mean, he knows he has stopwatch. He knows he has the passive, and they know they have the global advantage from the Gangplank. Vodor would have to teleport down to be able to match the effectiveness that Gangplank can provide. And it was just all of those safety factors on their team that allowed Poom to get so aggressive under the turret.
The best thing, too, is that even Kenby had the heads-up awareness to stand over where Poom's location was, just to make sure that if Poom came out of stasis, that he wouldn't tank turret aggro and burn the passive for nothing. And because Kenby walked in and clearly wasn't in turn range on top of Poom's location, they both knew that Poom was able to walk out and save the passive for a potential another dive.
Oh no, now Otto is roaming up with Kenby. DMK can't go into his own jungle at all!
DMK barely surviving, but will lose his red buff for the invade by Kenby and Otto. And now, you were talking about before how Poom was going to be roaming with Kenby into the jungle and just forcing out DMK, but you have to remember, Otto is technically the support. We got Poom on lane duty. He's got to pick up all the side farm because he is the high-income Zac lane for the fasting Senna, as we might see a turret dive in the mid lane coming up.
Yeah, a lot of 100 Thieves members walking around this mid lane turret. This is the next big objective they want to get control over. It's going to allow them more access to the map. And you can see Otto just sitting behind the turret, just poking away at them with the Glacial Augment and the extra range on the Q, making sure that Vex and Fizzy had to think twice about even defending this one. And this is 100 Thieves just trying to wrestle control around this dragon. DMK does get the blue buff. Will he die for it?
Yeah, but body slam over the wall. Was it really worth it, DMK? Maybe he had more confidence in Sudsy to be able to match Kenvy's aggression and take him down in a 1v2, but unfortunately, Kenvy's just really damn strong here, audio. He's has the Warrior's Blade, as we saw before, completed, but he has Zerker's Grease. He has a serrated Dirk as well, so he is working towards that Yuma's Ghost Blade. And without any sufficient armor items on most of the members here from Full Spectrum, Kenvy is blowing someone up whenever he has ultimate.
I mean, he absolutely is. He has a ridiculous amount of 80 in his inventory. Pume not quite making that engage.
Fizzy has the Swallow. He's going to be able to devour King Vex and take him to safety, but Tenacity also burning the Cannon Barrage, trying to put more pressure onto the mid lane turret. They need to take down this structure to allow Kenby to further push his tempo and an advantage into the jungles of Full Spectrum.
Yeah, Poom not actually landing that elastic slingshot, so nothing happens in the play. Smart of 100 Thieves to just back off. We've seen a lot of aggression from them, but it's always been tempered aggression. They don't go any further on the turret because they see that Vodor is walking down from the top lane. So I love the comms and the awareness of the team, only going for plays when they know that they can make it work.
I think my favorite thing so far about this game, audio, is when we go back to the win condition of both of these compositions, you talked about how 100 Thieves... Oh, Rodolph, don't die.
Let's talk about Vodor and Copy.
Okay. All right, Rodolph pops a world under, he gets out, right? But the thing is that 100 Thieves, they have the scaling composition, so there's not a demand for them to play this fast, and yet they are doing it just because, well, frankly, they can.
I mean, yeah, they can do whatever they want right now. And with a 7-0-1 Graves, I mean, even the Syndra, although she's 0-0-3, you have seen her almost 100-0 multiple members on this team. I mean, DMK and Vodov got very close to just being one-up by the Syndra. And now with that mid lane turret down, it feels like there's really nothing stopping 100 Thieves from just taking over the entirety of the map.
Sudsy trying to go in and trade some damage with the parallel convergence, but Copy is able to equally trade half of his health bar, and without popping the Chrono Break right away, he's not going to get as valuable of an ultimate if he decides to go in it again.
Yeah, popping that early was just a recipe to get Dove. It is going to be the final tier 1 turret falling for 100 Thieves next. They have taken complete control of the topside jungle. Vodov is just trying to hang on. I mean, he's been having a good lane despite the rest of the team just falling apart around him, and now they want to utilize that. They want to dive Tenacity.
Well, full spectrum, they got to do something, and so they got to pick on the weakest laner, and for them, that's going to be Tenacity, but Tenacity doing a decent job of trying to split up the attention between all 3 members, and they're botching the turret dive. Busy taking a lot of damage from the turret damage. Copy flashing over the wall. They pick up the Tom Kent, and they pick up DMK, but Suzzy's coming in with his own teleport. Can he equalize the odds here? He has Chrono Break. He's able to come back up, but boom, Elastic Sling shining over the wall, and remember, this is a high-income support with a ton of damage to back it up. He gets the slam down, and even can be picking up a turret to fall as well. 100 Thieves next. They're rolling with all the punches, and they come out on top once again.
Full Spectrum look desperate here. Meanwhile, look at Kenzie. He just wants to end the game.
Kenvi is using the Rift Herald, takes out the inhibitor, and now before 20 minutes, the base is already unlocked. He just
Oh!
What's that? Holy crap!
Ooh! And the surrender! They surrendered!
Oh my god, are you kidding?
They surrendered!
They made them surrender? What in the world?
Woo! Okay. I don't blame them. I do not blame them one bit. My... Woo!
Yo,
100 Thieves coming in with the 17 minutes and 37 seconds win. I would have to get confirmation, but I can confidently say that is probably the fastest game time we've seen this season. That is the second fastest game of the year. I don't know what team actually got faster.
Yikes.
But that was... Whew, okay, so it was a bit of a long, extended play that somehow ended the game there. It all starts with that bot lane dive. Let's go back to that. Let's try to break that one down. It was the right look from Full Spectrum. The one lane that wasn't just falling apart at the hinges was top lane. Tenacity had a couple kills, yes, but Vodov was up like 50 CS in that lane. He was actually keeping Tenacity under turret for a large amount of time. So their idea is, let's dive the one lane that we have going for us because we have nowhere else that we have control. But Vodov taking the turret aggro way before the rest of his team came in, then having to leave the fight because he was too low, and because he left, Fizzy was taking the turret for nothing. It was just a complete disaster for Full Spectrum. And meanwhile, Kenvi just drops the Rift Herald in the top lane, says, you guys are going to screw around the bottom lane. I'll just take your inhibitor at 18 minutes. Let's look at the damage taken. I'm getting words in my ears that there was a lot. My
this
word.
Wasn't a game. This was a DMK bully stream. Oh, man. I feel like this is not allowed in some states. Like, oh my goodness. Like, what they did to DMK and the rest of Full Spectrum, like, what are we allowed to show them? Oh my goodness. Even the gold charts. I remember at one point Kenvi was 3,000 above his lane opponent. I think at the end of the game, in terms of total gold, it was, yeah, he has 1,500 over any of his next teammate in Tenacity. He had 9,000 gold earned worth of stats. And when you look at
4,000
DMK,
gold over
yeah,
the Gragas.
4,100 to be exact. Holy moly.
That is, I mean, think Trinity Force, the most expensive item in the game, is not even that much. That was absolutely disgusting. Just from start to finish. Kenvi, you're an absolute monster. I don't know what else to say about it. I think going into the next game, he obviously can't give away the Graves. I mean, that's just a given. But Full Spectrum have to be so cognizant of Kenvi. I mean, just knowing where he is throughout the game, because if you allow him to get up in your face and take away your jungle like that, we have now seen what this man can do with a gold lead, and it is scary. I mean, are we sure the Fiddlesticks rework did not already come out? Because that was the stuff of nightmares. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight of an 8-0 and 1 Graves coming into my jungle.
Once Fiddlesticks does come out and is available, I'm scared of what Kenby can do with that champion. If it's as scary as some of the rioters have been telling most of the league community that the champion is going to be. But when you look at this game, it's hard to really analyze it from a win condition strategy, because this is one of those games where you just look at it as like, oh,
Well,
Kenby just
100
got
Thieves win condition was late game. They wanted to let it scale. They have a Gangplank and a Senna. They wanted to try to wait as long as possible to allow these carries to ramp up. They even had a supportive composition around them. Their one early game condition was Kenvi. And I mean, he was very impatient this game. He did not want to wait at all. And it was just absolute dominance. I mean, Full Spectrum, they have to wipe that one from their memory. When you're going into game 2, you have to forget that ever happened and try not to let your mental go boom.
Yeah, we just gotta mentally refresh and get ready for the next game. As here on Upsurge Esports, we're gonna have to take a break as well, because we gotta take a moment to refresh as we get ready for game 2. But stick around, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back getting ready for the draft phase of game two between 100 Thieves next and Full Spectrum. And if you guys didn't catch the first game, you'll probably see it.
If you weren't
Uh,
here in the last 15 minutes, you missed the first game.
yeah, that is definitely true. It might appear up on Reddit, but it's definitely not safe for work. So that's all we're gonna say. And just like Full Spectrum, we have to forget about game one because as exciting and incredible that was of a showing from 100 Thieves, they, if Full Spectrum want to come back in this series, they have to look at it as an outlier. They cannot let it demoralize them, and they need to just come back with a clean slate and go back to the game plan.
Yeah, and for part of the roster, this is game one. They are bringing in Vilas and Lutano in the bottom lane. We heard some rumblings that there might be some packet loss issues with Lutano. Hopefully, that does not plague him this time, but this should be an upgrade, a pretty sizable one for Full Spectrum. So hopefully, they are going to have a better showing this time around. It's not going to take much to improve over game one's 17-minute forfeit. But this is the change that they hope is going to bring them to a game three.
And just thinking about what champions or what needs to be altered during the ban phase for the side of Full Spectrum. I mean, now that you've seen such a monstrous showing from Kenvi, when he gets the resources and he has the lane priority to be able to invade without mercy against DMK, it it's a huge question now in the air for Full Spectrum. Do they take away the Graves, or do instead of banning certain champions, do they need to pick up certain champions that gives DMK the early game aggression to match against someone fierce like Kendi?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, right? It's never a cut and dry situation. If you do this, you are going to win. But with the aggressiveness and the obvious mechanical prowess that we saw Kenvi have in game number one, I think they not only need to throw some draft resources at taking away his picks, it does help that they are on blue side and don't have to ban away those OP first pick champs like the Set, like the Ornn, like the Athelios. But I would also like to see them put DMK on something with a bit more dueling potential in the first early couple levels. Gragas is a great all around champion, and I love him as a jungler right now in the meta. But level 1 to 3, he is pretty poor at just actually skirmishing. He needs to get some AP under his belt before he does a significant amount of damage. So giving him a jungler that can stand toe to toe to those 2v2 engages, or just Kenvi getting all up in your face contesting your camps, would go a long way at helping them stabilize the early.
Right. And we know that DMK can pilot the Lee Sin pretty well. So maybe that is a champion that Full Spectrum go back to. So because we know that Gragas is kind of one of those just versatile champions that can fit into any composition, can match some early aggression to an extent, and can also be useful the later the game goes, just because he always provides amazing initiation as well as disengage just from body slam and explosive cask. But when it's someone that is super in your face like Graves, then you probably need something that is just as aggressive early on, just to be able to match and ensure that your team just doesn't get absolutely slammed.
Yeah, and I would like to see Full Spectrum maybe draft a strong top and jungle duo. I think Vodov was one of the standout players on the team. It was really hard to analyze that team of strength of players because Kenvi was so ridiculously far ahead. Of course, everybody was dying because he was just literally one-shotting their entire team the entire game. But the top lane Aatrox was where they found the most success. Vodov had a very sizable CS lead against Tenacity. They were at least able to attempt some dives onto Tenacity. They didn't work out very well, but if they were to go back into the draft phase and maybe grab him another Aatrox and then something that can fight with the Aatrox a bit earlier on, it could be a better look for them.
Now, remember that Full Spectrum were the ones that banned the set away, but now since they are blue side, we might see If 100 Thieves just go with the same 3 bans as they did before, which were Nocturne, Aphelios, and Callista, all targeted that bot lane, Full Spectrum, still going with the Xayah and the Ornn, now have the opportunity if they want to pivot for a cert first pick, and Graves might be the
I think
ban
that's
of
smart.
choice from Full
Yeah.
Spectrum.
So banning away the Xayah, bringing in Vilas, or they want to make sure that he has a good matchup. They don't want to play the Xayah Rakan, and if they first pick anything other than the Xayah Rakan, then they will give away that duo. So knocking out at least one of the 2 components is going to mean that they should get a favorable matchup in the bottom lane. Probably looking for an Aphelios or a Misfortune first pick for themselves. But then taking away the Graves, I think, is really smart. I'm a bit bewildered by the Ornn pick. If they're not comfortable playing Ornn, I think there's things that you can play into it. But they just want to grab the set and make sure that the Ornn doesn't come through as an answer. This is a very preventative ban phase in the first rotation, making sure that they can get their strong picks and limiting what 100 Thieves can answer back with.
100 Thieves are going to go with the Senna once again. One thing that they did change up in the ban phase, not necessarily the picks, but the order, is that the Sylas, well, technically was banned by Full Spectrum in the second rotation by the second phase, but this time 100 Thieves are going to ban the Sylas themselves, as they're trying to get some champions with some powerful ultimates that they do not want to be taken by Sylas's ultimate. And without the Tahm Kench steal away and being on red side, 100 Thieves get to lock in the Senna Tahm Kench combo.
Yeah, I think Tahm Kench is one of the strongest pairing with the Senna. He just offers a level of safety that no other champion in the game can provide. It is a free QSS/cleanse out of whatever CC, whatever danger you get into. So pairing that with the farming Senna, who just wants to stack up those souls early on, is going to be very good. Full Spectrum, though, they're getting some very strong picks. They bring in the Set, who is a great blind pick into almost any matchup. There's a couple of range matchups he struggles with, but then they get the Aphelios Braum, who against the Senna Tahm Kench are essentially going to get a free lane. So I definitely expect Aphelios coming into the mid game, barring any Kenvi fanatics where he just goes 1v9 in the first 10 minutes, Aphelios and Braum are going to be very strong from me.
Now, 100 Thieves have locked in Gangplank as their final pick of the first rotation before they go into the second ban phase. Now, Gangplank historically, or on paper, has a really strong matchup into Set, because you can just constantly poke him out with your parlay, getting those Brass of the Undying stacks up. And Set, he thrives in an all-in situation, but if Gangplank just continues harassing you and whittles you down, you never get a chance to be able to build up your full grit and being able to unleash that full shield, the true damage, and then eventually he will get poked out. I do want to pose this question, Trevor. Do we see DMK flex the Set into the jungle and get a better matchup for Rodolph in the top lane against this GP?
That is an interesting question. I think we'll have to look at what 100 Thieves end up picking up for their jungler, because if you put yourself in a situation where you give Kenvi a good matchup in the jungle once again, and then we're just gonna have a repeat of game number 1, right? So that Set has to wait until we see Kenvi's pick, and they're smartly saving it for last. Full Spectrum really have to decide where that Set is going to go right now, because Kenvi hit his pick. If they pick a new top laner and flex that Set in the jungle, I would not be surprised at all if Kenvi just takes something hyper aggressive and tries to bully Set out of the jungle. A Set from behind is going to be next to worthless. The only way that you can engage is by ulting into the enemy team, and if you don't have an advantage, that is not a good idea.
What will be the pick here for DMK? We talked
like
about
this.
You have to match some early aggression against someone like Kenvi, and we talked about the Lee Sin from last week, and DMK is now going to lock in the Blind Monk for himself.
Yeah, and what this composition does, it's very good at skirmishing in 2v2s and 3v3s, but it's also a very good composition for the enemy to engage into. So you see tons of globals on the side of 100 Thieves. You have the Tahm Kench and the Gangplank. They are looking to jump into Full Spectrum, but you have the Braum and the Azir, the Lee Sin as well, and there goes the Rek'Sai pick. Kenvi, once again, he doesn't get the Graves, but he still wants to go aggro.
This is another one of Kenvy's really. I mean, we can say that Kemby has a lot of signature champions, but when I talk about Rek'Sai, I mean, when we look at Twitch Rivals' past performances and his performances on prior teams with low-key Esports in the prior split, Rek'Sai was one of his best champions. And Rek'Sai is a straight-up historical counter to Lee Sin, because anytime Lee Sin wants to engage, he's going to get instantly knocked up, will lose the resonating strike damage, and then it's just basically all super easy for Rek'Sai to be able to just claw him down with some fury swipes and then some true bite or true damage action from that bite.
Yeah, and this is going to allow 100 Thieves to play a very similar style that they did in game number 1. Kemby is going to have free reign to get as aggressive as he wants, and not only post 6 is he going to have the assistance of the Gangplank ultimate, but now Tom Kench can both join him and bring along an ally if a skirmish ever goes wrong in that jungle. So this is really just a composition that, yes, it has some late game scaling in it, but that is not how they are playing this. This is a Kenvy focused draft where the entire team is just waiting to collapse around whatever fight he might be able to find. So definitely look for them to try to run it back and make a repeat of game number 1.
Now, well, I mean, we're pretty sure we know where everything is going. There's no weird, crazy flex picks here.
Kenvy's not playing Tom Kent's jungle, is he?
Yeah. Now, Tom Kent's jungle would be pretty lit, but...
Okay, so back in the day, I'll go on a small tangent, when Tom Kent was first released, still in my opinion, the most broken release ever. 80% scaling, AP scaling on his W, he could just chop somebody and deal 80% of their damage or their health bar in one go. He could be playing top, jungle, mid, ADC support. It didn't matter where. You get 3 stacks on that passive, they're dead. But it is going to be a similar look from 100 Thieves. I like the composition they have put together. What will Full Spectrum be able to do? Because after game 1 and the complete stomp that it was, it kind of feels like we haven't gotten to see them really get to play the game. I mean, they got shut down so early in game number 1. So hopefully this time around, we'll get to see a bit more fight out of them, get them to see them actually have a chance to answer this aggression from Ken.
And important to note, last game, it was King Vex and Fizzy playing. They were the subs for this roster, but now Vilis and Lutano are now coming back in. They were experiencing some internet problems, but hopefully everything is straightened out so that the main roster can come in, because now being in the losers bracket, Full Spectrum have to pull out all the stops that they can afford so that they can continue their run here in UPL.
Yeah, this is it. You lose this game and your playoff run is over. Nobody wants that, especially not Full Spectrum. So they are going to be doing everything they can to put back in this one. And I feel like they have some good skirmishing duos. And you thought about the Gragas and the Aatrox from game 1. Early, like, yes, that does seem like a strong duo, but not in the early levels. Set Lee Sin, much different. When you have the execute from Lee Sin paired with the true damage from Set, these two roaming around are forces to be reckoned with. So I don't think we'll see the same kind of blind aggression that Kenby showed in game number 1, because he doesn't just automatically win the stat check. I hope so. I hope we see it.
Yeah. I definitely hope so as well. And I want to see some aggression, but I also want to see DMK try to push back with some aggression of his own. We saw that he had a potentially interesting adaptation in the early game. As soon as he got invaded, most other junglers might just say, crap, well, I'm behind, guys, good luck, I'm just going to try to power farm back into the game. But DMK tried to counteract with a gank onto the bottom side of the map, and they did get a good job punishing the fact that Poom was pushed up way too far forward. But unfortunately, Kenby just got the snowball train rolling even harder. But now DMK now on the Lee Sin, hopefully, for the side of Full Spectrum, it is enough to be able to match. It may not always be the smart thing to just straight up take a fight against Kenby 1v1, since the champions on paper counter DMK, but DMK on the Lee Sin can always take advantage of a champion like Gangplank, who has no real escapes, outside of his flash.
Yeah, and if you are 100 Thieves, you have gotten a very similar composition to game one, and it definitely worked out for them. But you still have to make sure that Kenvi can get an advantage in the early game. Because if this Rek'Sai does not get ahead, they really struggle on ways that they can actually engage. So, other than the Rek'Sai, they are looking at potentially a Gangplank ultimate or Poom just ulting somebody into Full Spectrum. And we've already talked about how good Full Spectrum are at kiting backwards or fighting fights when their enemies are walking into them, with the Braum, the Azir, the Lee Sin, all having disengage tools. So I want to keep our eyes on Kenvi, and he was already the star player so far in this series for sure. But if he doesn't get ahead, things can look very scary for 100T.
Yeah, especially considering that your best late game option is going to be Tenacity in the Gangplank, and he was doing fine, but we never got to see how well he was doing with the Gangplank. It was just kind of a benefit of the doubt that Kenvi was snowballing so hard. But as we're getting ready for game 2 to start, we have a message from one of our other amazing sponsors here for Upsurge Esports, and it's from Kono Keyboard, ladies and gentlemen. And if you are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals, from keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more. Our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. So, if you need to find a new keyboard, check out the HexGears X-1 RGB low-profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. That's right, wireless, baby. You can use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. For more information, head over to kono.store to check out all they have to offer. That's KONO.store. Kono, discover amazing products. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the rift for Game 2 between 100 Thieves Next and Full Spectrum Esports. And remember, guys, this is match point here for 100 Thieves. So if Full Spectrum get wiped out here like they did in Game 1, their playoffs run is over. And 100 Thieves will move on to the next round within the loser's bracket. And we already see no fancy level 1 invades, at least so far, just the typical 5-man fan.
Yeah, remember 100 Thieves went with the 5-man level 1 last time, and then they got really aggressive on the red buff with Kenvi and Tenacity. So, I mean, they're just chilling right now. Kenvi's even going in with the recall, but ooh, look at Otto and Poom.
They find Vilas. They get the slow down on him with the Glacial Augment as well as the Lick. Poom. Vilas still trying to run away, but will not burn any summoners quite yet. Takes a lot of damage. Jesus, Otto. Limit testing to the max, trying to force Vilas back away under his tower. And with that, Vilas is not going to be able to get an optimal start here as they're just forcing the recall out, and he's not going to get to lane on time.
Yeah, I mean, Poom does take a turret shot there at the end, but forcing Vilas to go back to base and miss potentially the first wave of minions, you can see they're going to try to push this as fast as they can, even drawing the aggro in so the lane walks up as far as possible. I mean, this is a very good start from the bottom lane of 100 Thieves, and it was the combination of Glacial Augment plus the slow from Poom that just made it so hard for Vilas to get away. I mean, he's lucky he held on to his flash there, to be honest.
But he will come to the lane very late. Thankfully, he only misses
3
out
minions.
on 2. Was it only?
So he missed the XP for 2, but he missed the first 3 minions. So that was a little bit of extra gold gone. And now they are going to have this wave stacking up against him. Kenvi is full clearing topside, so not going to see any like crazy early dives. But look at Vilas, he's already half health.
He just came back to lane, and he wants to be able to touch some minions and get the gold from them, you man. And he's not allowed to. He's still on 0 CS. Meanwhile, Poom, since this is the fasting setup, Poom is taking up all the gold and is already about to hit 10. And you have to also keep in mind, since Otto does have the Spectral Sickle, he does pick up 3 of those minions there. But for Poom, I mean, he's already well ahead of his quote-unquote lane opponent, and that Vilas on this Aphelios is going to take a while to ramp up.
Yeah, and I mean, Vilas does have the Severum, thankfully, to give some lifesteal. And so he won't be completely forced out of the lane like he would have been if he was almost any other ADC. Otto and Poom actually going for a reset here. Otto gets interrupted, but Poom started with the wrong items. He started with the support items, so he had to go back to base and swap them out. That is not good.
Oh, well, that whole advantage. I mean, I don't know how much of it goes down the drain. Thankfully, he did take, I believe, what was the coin support items, so he doesn't get as, he shouldn't get as punished as he would have. But selling it and then buying a Doran shield definitely does take a hit out of your overall gold efficiency. So unfortunately, the advantage is not as now strong for the side of 100 Thieves bot lane, but Otto and Poom are going to try to do their best to salvage what they have, as now they're getting aggressed on in this full minion wave trade. Poom is going to use the Devour to get Otto out of safe, or into safety way.
Yeah, so hard to aggress onto a Senna plus Tom Kench. You not only have the Shroud to deal with, but the Tom Kench Devour as well. But yeah, all of that work they put in the level 1 to try to put Vilas behind is gone.
Oh, Heal comes out from Poom, as well as the barrier from Otto. They were quite scared that Lutano and Vilas were going to get the all-in effectively down. They knew that Devour cooldown was not available for Poom, so just great on the side of Full Spectrum, being able to bounce back. And, you know, maybe this is what Full Spectrum needed. This is the main bot lane duo that was supposed to be in for the roster, and now they're showing up even despite a disastrous level 1.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing so much better, and part of it is due to Poom's mistake early on with his itemization, which was very unfortunate, but Also, Senna, Tom Kench don't have a lot of combat power, even less than the Senna plus Zac did. At least Zac offered some range, a lot of engage, and some decent damage. So you should definitely expect Vilas and Lutano to continue their dominance here in the bottom lane. But both defensive summoner spells burned. 400 Thieves bot lane means that there really is no scenario, like unless Vilas and Lutano push way far up and Kemby is able to get behind them, where the Aphelios and the Braum should be in any danger.
And I know we've been really focused on this bot lane since that's where the most action has happened here, Audio. But when we take a look at the rest of the map, and nothing particularly exciting has happened. Kemby and DMK have taken both really standard routes. Just as I say that, though, Kemby wants to go in for some aggression, but DMK is there for the counter gank to match and forces the flash out of Kemby. Tenacity also taking quite a bit of damage as well, but they will not further aggress. They already got what they wanted, and that was Kemby's summoners.
Yeah, great job by DMK to just predict where Kemby was going to be. Bot lane's not going so well. Mid lane, you've got a Syndra with Scatter the Weak. The most logical opportunity is this top side. Woo! Okay, Tenacity's going to walk away there barely with an inch of his life.
I thought he was ready to get the slam jam down onto Tenacity with the showstopper, but knowing that Tenacity does have the flash as well as the W. Oh, no! Cannon Barrage comes in, the heal comes out just in the nick of time for Vilas. He's going to be able to survive a potential first blood pickup here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, quick fingers there by Vilas. Make sure he gets that heal before even the first tick of damage on that ultimate comes in, as that first tick probably would have taken him out. Forcing him back to base, though, means Otto and Poom can get some extra gold from the turret plates, as well as force Vilas to miss even more minions. He's 10 CS behind the farming Tom Kench. Is not a good look for him right now. However, the rest of the map seems relatively stable. 100 Thieves have 1,000 gold lead 7 minutes in, but much better than I think like the 3,000 they had last game at this point. Don't fact check me on the exact number, but I mean, they were having a very good game even this early on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at this point Kemby was already up 3 kills, maybe 4, and had that Warriors enchantment unlock. He's not having quite the same results, but he's not completely down and out quite yet. DMK, all we wanted to see from the full spectrum jungler was just to prevent Kemby from having another game 1 performance, from popping up and just completely snowballing the game out of control to the point where full spectrum are forced to FF once again. Now that has been tempered, full spectrum might be able to play their game this time around.
Yeah, we could just see them actually compete here in this series, and I think they did a really good job in the draft. Like we were talking about, getting a stronger early skirmishing duo with the top and jungle. A Set plus Lee Sin is much harder to outduel early than a Gragas plus Aatrox, so smart draft changes. However, it is still Kemby having a very sizable advantage here. He is up 12 CS over DMK. They are able to get the Herald in response to the Dragon taken, but I mean, Kemby is still a very scary jungler.
Neither DMK or Kemby have the Warriors enchantment completed quite yet, but both of them are rocking Conquer, so it does make them fantastic skirmishers, and can't count them out despite having the flash down. Kemby was able to pick up the first dragon of the game, but in exchange, DMK used the pressure to offset onto the top side of the map and take the first Rift Herald of the game. Meanwhile, looks like Rodolph has lane swap to the bot side to allow their bottom lane to go to the top side, try and push Tenacity off and get the first tower down, but so far, all the attention is towards the bot lane as Rodolph is getting constantly poked out by Otto and Poom.
Yeah, you can see DMK holding on to that Herald right now. I would have expected them to maybe use it on the top side. This feels like an awkward lane swap for me, because you are just giving Otto and Poom more time, just wail away at that turret. Gangplank very good at holding his own 1v2 with the extra wave curve from the barrels. There goes the Herald. It is going to be popped mid.
Interesting.
To give Sudsy some extra gold in his pocket.
Yeah, if
comes
Coffee's
Candy.
not able to snowball off this Azir, then we all know we've seen Season 5 highlights where it was just an Azir and Victor two-man show running all the games back to back. And Azir fully stacked into the late game, having those early power spikes can turn team fights around so effectively well.
Yeah, I don't think this lane swap was very advantageous for the side of Full Spectrum. Set plays a much harder weak lane than the Gangplank. I mean, look at that. You're able to just pop the ultimate and clear out the entire wave. Vodov can't do that. He has to sit here and just relentlessly take poke from the Senna, from the Tahm Kench.
Oh.
Tenacity does have to flash away. But, I mean, this is just allowing 100 Thieves to really kind of skip the early game power that their composition is lacking.
Yeah, it looks like Tenacity was disrespecting the Gravitum lockdown from Vilas, and he was able to pop the oranges, but not quick enough where he would have been able to sidestep the Glacial Fissure from Lutano, so he had to flash that one out. Rodolph with the flash, gets the slam down onto Poom, but Kemby is here for the counter gank, the 2v3. Rodolph is going to try to live as long as he can, but he will get swallowed up by Poom, and the flash from Otto. They take down DMK, and just as we were praising DMK for tempering the aggression from Kemby, it comes back to bite him.
So unfortunate there by 100, or by Full Spectrum. 100 Thieves are going to get the 2 kills. They're going to take the turret. Here comes in Sudsy, try to make a play happen.
Sudsy wants to turn things around. Beautiful shuffle from the Emperor's Divide. Pushes Otto into the wall, and there's no escape for him. And they're going to be able to get the kill down for the Emperor of Shurima.
And Otto being the sacrificial lamb there for 100 Thieves, but they got so much on that play. I mean, they got multiple turrets in the top and mid lane. They got the full turret bot plus 2 kills, all for the price of Otto. I will take that trade any day of the week, seeing as Otto is your support that's not even picking up the farm. And that looked like a good potential pick initially from Full Spectrum, but you saw Dragonkin going in for the insect at the same time that Vodov ulted Poom away from the tower. I think if he had held on to the showstopper, the Lee Sin might have been able to push Tahm Kench further into the turret, and things could have looked better. Now, though, they want to fight over the dragon.
Miscommunication, unfortunately, has been plaguing this team for the past 2 weeks as they've been operating on subs, and now Vilas all by himself getting ganked by Kemby thanks to Poom's Abyssal Voyage. They single out the 80 carry, and now the dragon should be up the taking 400 Thieves. Maybe now they'll start the dragon. I guess they're circling around it as...
Yeah, I mean, they have complete control now as Full Spectrum just completely backed off from the objective. And this is going to be decently early Ocean Drake, one of the best dragons to get just on its own without the soul. Oh my word, look at Tenacity starting to rack up the damage here in the top side. Has the Sheen. You can see the chunk out onto Vodov. Another plate going down in the mid lane, and 100 Thieves have continued incredible objective control throughout this series.
I have to say, Audio, you know, when you mentioned how Tenacity and Copy getting a bunch of free farm was not the best play from the side of Full Spectrum, despite getting the shutdown onto Auto. And well, to be fair, it wasn't even a shutdown, right? And now Tenacity, almost 25 CS above his counterpart. We already talked about how this Gangplank matchup into the set is very advantageous for him, as he can always just outrange Rodolph on this set and continue harassing him down. And he's almost there to complete his Trinity Force. He just needs about another 1,100 gold, and then he'll be there. And then from that point on, Rodolph is attempting to rush a Blade of the Ruin King, but what good will that do if you can never get in range to auto Tenacity?
Yeah, definitely not the situation Full Spectrum wants to be in right now, but they are only 4,000 gold behind. This game is not over by any stretch of the imagination. They still have tons of scaling in their back pocket with the Azir and the Aphelios. 4,000 is kind of on the edge of what you would call a manageable early game deficit, but it is still within those parameters. Now the second Herald on the table, you can see Tenacity that's clearing away those waves in the bottom lane. Still has the teleport if he needs to join his team around the Herald. But 100 Thieves, I would like to see them getting a bit more aggressive with their globals. They've been using a lot of these global tools very defensively. And when you're going against these scaling picks like Suds' Azir and like Violet's Aphelios, I think you need to turn the aggression up just a few notches.
Yeah, apart from an attempted snipe onto Vilas, all of the cannon barrages have been used to clear waves or defend against any aggression by the likes of Full Spectrum. DMK has been trying to do his best to be able to either match Kenvi or be able to aggress his counterpart. And up until the 13-minute mark, it was working out for them. But now things have not gone their way, and Rift Herald being picked up recently by Kenvi and the rest of 100 Thieves are going to look to take the first tower onto the top side of the map, and with Rift Herald still in pocket, could potentially unlock another turret in either mid lane or top lane.
Yeah, what 100 Thieves have done incredibly well this game is completely split up the map. Great scout of the week!
Jesus! There is just no possible way for Vilas to be able to get out alive. Lutano had to pop the stopwatch to dodge out from the damage, but he's going to have to walk away knowing that he couldn't save his AD carry once again. Oh, no. Otto, unfortunately, for him, does not have enough damage to be able to take him down, and Lutano will be able to walk away safely.
Yeah, Vilas doesn't have something like a Tom Kench in his back pocket. He has to be so careful when walking up to that mid lane turret. And as I was about to say, 100 Thieves have done a very good job splitting up the map. The composition for Full Spectrum does its best when they're all grouped together and trying to force these 5v5 fights. But because 100 Thieves have the global advantage, not only the GP and Tom Kenchel, but double teleport to the single teleport of Full Spectrum as well, they can just play this 1-3-1 style where they just push down the turrets, and Full Spectrum never have the chance to get their 5v5 online.
And we look at the item completions now for the side of 100 Thieves. We have the Trinity Force being picked up by Tenacity, already a huge power spike for the Gangplank. Luden's Echo was completed some time ago for Copy, already working towards what I believe is with needlessly large rod and amplifying tome. Looks like he's working towards the Spellbinder's orb. So that's just going to be it's not a typical item build at this early on in the stage, but it is definitely one when you are, I would say, feeling yourself quite much.
Yeah, he definitely is feeling himself right now, doing very well. So you can see Full Spectrum, they're trying to get these team fights going. Dragons are going to start spawning soon, and these are the big objectives that are probably going to draw 100 Thieves in and away from the 1-3-1. So if there was a time for Full Spectrum to start to make their way back into this game, it is right now. You can see they've already brought Rodov back down to join this team fight. Don't even want to use a teleport. They want him here now.
I'm trying to get Rodolph ready. He does have the showstopper. Ideal, the target would be on Napoom. He has the most health to be able to make the most of that damage and health scaling. Cannon Barrage, however, does come out, forcing a flash out of Otto, despite the defensive Cannon Barrage ulti used to help save him and get him out alive. But it does discourage the members of Full Spectrum. Oh my
another
God!
great scout of the week!
So much damage on the Violence. He's definitely out of the fight for now. Scout of the week, as well as the Unleashed Power, takes down Rodolph despite the showstopper. Kenvi, using a beautiful flash, will not be able to, however, escape away from Lutano, but they do take down Violence as well as Rodolph. It is a 1-for-2 in favor of 100 Thieves, but they can't take any objectives quite yet, as without a smite, you don't want to take a 50-50 against DMK.
Yeah, crucial that Lutano is able to find that kill onto Kenvi, prevents the dragon from going over. But my God, Copy has been the catalyst for all these plays being made so far in the mid game. Take a look at this replay right now, and you can see, I mean, just jockeying for control. 100 Thieves do a very good job disengaging at the initial fight, but after those engage tools are gone, there's nothing stopping Copy from just walking up and finding the scatter of the week, because 30 seconds ago, Lutano had blown his Braum ultimate in the mid lane and got nothing from it. Let's go back to the live, though, because they're fighting over the dragon.
Yeah, Otto was attempting. I'm surprised they just didn't aggress onto Otto right there. He was all by himself, but something tells me that Full Spectrum had no idea or where the rest of 100 Thieves were, and were, quite frankly, uh, scared out of their minds to wonder if they attempted to try and kill Otto, what the consequences could have been of their actions. But they, thankfully for them, do get the dragon. This is Infernal Soul that is potentially up on the table for either team. And with that dragon in place, it does give one dragon's worth of breathing room for Full Spectrum.
Yeah, it at least delays the time where they really have to fight for that Drake. Once you get to the soul point, you really have no option but to contest that fourth and final dragon. So now, if they find themselves in a situation where they want to just give a Drake over, they at least have that buffer. Now they're trying to push up on the top side. We did see the Herald get a bit wasted. Here comes Tom Kench.
Tom Kench with the Abyssal Voyage. They lock down Vilas once again. Last game, it was the DMK Bully Stream. This time, it seems to be the Vilas Bully Stream as he goes down for a fourth time this game. DMK getting rained down by the Chilling Smite will be able to ward hop towards or safeguard to an ally. DMK will be able to make his escape for now, but still a member down in favor of 100 Thieves as Tenacity continues pushing onto the bottom side. Both Rodolph and Tenacity do have teleport in case 100 Thieves want to start this Baron.
They do. We do see Tenacity and Copy with the teleport. So advantage going over to 100 Thieves right now. Tenacity, though, he is just bullying Rodolph under this bottom lane tier 2. Even if Set wanted to join the fight, he's already under half HP. A little bit over now thanks to the health regeneration plus the Blade of the Ruined King. You see 100 Thieves, they have no problem starting this one up. The rest of Full Spectrum is kind of scattered throughout the map right now. DMK is just going into the mid lane right now. 100 Thieves is going to pull off, just try to run for a bush bait. Kemvi goes in.
Kemvi finds a pick, potentially on the DMK, is going to get locked up by the slow from Otto. There is the Dawning Shadows, enough damage from onto Lutano. Copy is going to also pick it up with the Unleashed Power. Another member down against 100 Thieves. 4 on 5 in favor of 100 Thieves as well. Tenacity also getting ready in the Fog of War to teleport over to the Baron.
And now you can see Tenacity, he's just walking up, doesn't even want to burn the teleport. Just going to leave Rodolph to his own devices down there on the bot side. Unexpected walking up behind. Teams, you know they want to fight.
Kemvi gets kicked back by DMK. Beautiful disengage. Here comes the teleport from Rodolph. Is going to try to even the odds here. Showstopper is available for them if they can get the right target, but the rest of 100 Thieves are scattering like the wind. They will not give Full Spectrum a chance to re-engage the fight.
Yeah, a bit lackluster engaged there by 100 Thieves. You saw Tenacity trying to get this creative flank where he walked all the way up from the bottom side, and they do get the teleport out of Rodolph, which was the big objective for the team. They don't really have to spend anything for it, and they get a big summoner spell. This is going to allow them to just reset the state of the map, send Tenacity back to his side lane, and now when 100 Thieves run that play again, Rodolph won't be able to join the fight, but Tenacity will.
Oh, Rodolph seemingly has found Otto. Flash W over the wall. Rodolph just needs to get one more auto attack onto Otto, but he does heal himself with the Q. Piercing Shadow will be able to keep himself alive, and Tenacity has now joined the fight, and Rodolph expending Flash has nowhere to go, and the rest of 100 Thieves all dog piled down onto the boss, and he will go down for his efforts. Lutano will be able to dash over the wall to Sudsy and get out safely, but once again, we've seen this story before from Full Spectrum. Another member down, which means there is time and opportunity for 100 Thieves to establish vision and pressure over the Baron, but Vilas trying to push into the mid-side turret will take down the first tier, but Vilas is going to get cut off by Poom and Coffee, but DMK turns it around, finds a pick onto Kemvi, will take him down. Coffee is going to get 1-for-1 using the Unleashed Power. Does he have more damage in the tank to be able to take on a 2v3 with Poom? He flashes forward. He has the confidence to manage to scatter the weak onto Vilas, and Lutano forcing the flash out of the AD carry for Full Spectrum will be able to run the way. Sudsy does not have Emperor's Divide anymore. No more disengaged powers. Lutano does have Glacial Fissure if they need it as a last resort. One more auto attack, a slow could come out. Lutano flashes over, but Otto has the range and snipes out Vilas, taking him down.
got him through the ward auto. He's able to get the max range Q, and it was looking good for Full Spectrum. They pick off the jungler, but once again, Copy finds a clutch scatter the weak onto 2 members, and they're able to win the fight. They're able to put themselves onto Soul Point. They might even want some more, as Rodov is getting pretty low there. No, they're just going to go back and reset. Look towards that Baron.
Yeah, Copy needs some more mana in the tank. He was running very low, almost 5% right there, but now picking up the blue buff and getting this recall, he should be finishing his death cap on this back. And without really any magic resist items from the side of Full Spectrum, save for Lutano, any member from Full Spectrum that gets caught out by Copy is going to get instantly deleted.
I mean, yeah, who's going to build magic resist? The set? I mean, he's going against the AD, top lane, and jungle. Decided to go for the Blade Ruin King to just try to survive the laning phase. I mean, the Braum maybe will build some, but it's low-income support
Not
now.
again. File.
Oh. It just keeps getting worse.
Boom and auto.
By Vilas. And that is the power of the globals. Plus all the slows coming through from the Glacial Augment Senna. I mean, she's got how many? 114 stacks right now. This Senna can engage from so far away with the Glacial Augment applying on both the auto attacks and the Q. And with the ADC down now once again, Rodov not having teleport, 100 Thieves are in prime position to force down this Baron.
Rodov does not have teleport, so he'll have to take the long walk over to the Baron if he wants to get in there. DMK is the same level as Kenvi, so there's always the potential for the steal. But if 100 Thieves force the fight on their own terms, they're going to try to take him down before they even have a chance. The Dawning Shadow wipes out Sunsea off the map. DMK gets absolutely exploded by Tenacity, and now it's on 100 Thieves' turn to run down the rest of Full Spectrum. Kenvi with the flash gets the knock up on the road up, trying to force him back. Lutano doing all he can to block as much damage, but it's going to get locked down by Copy and Auto. Kenvi, another one on the Vilas. The showstopper comes out, but to no avail. Double kill and a full ace for 100 Thieves next as they look to push in for another turret and onto the Baron.
And Copy splits the distance on that engage. This man has been flawless with his Scatter the Weeks. He's able to hit both Lutano and DMK as they are kiting back from the pit, and that is the go button for 100 Thieves. Vilas isn't there, and they just run over that fight. Poom is on split push duty in the mid lane, trying to break down that tower. You see Poom gets interrupted!
Oh, wait, Poom? An error here? Miscalculated error, attempted to use the Abyssal Voyage to get away, but gets interrupted by Subsea. DMK could potentially go in for the steal, but he's going to get forced away by Otto with the Glacial Slows, and Kevy will be able to secure with the Furious Bite as well as the Smite. And now DMK critically low on health, almost sub 600, but they want to cancel the recalls. Otto needs Copy to be able to assist him, but Copy is running quite low on mana. Probably has enough mana for one spell rotation in the tank, plus the Unleash Power, and that's it. They need to be able to play this well. But beautiful Scout of the Week stun. A lot of damage comes out from the Unleash Power, but now Copy probably only has one more rotation in the tank. Kenvi is going to be able to get the ultimate down. This is a 3v5, but look at the damage coming out from 100 Thieves. They just turn it on its head. Rodolph will be able to pick one up on the Kenvi, but he's going to get run down by the rest of the members of 100 Thieves. They were ready for the turnaround. They called it. It didn't matter about the number advantage here, and 100 Thieves next just continue flooring Full Spectrum.
They are relentless here. They go right back to the Baron. They pick it up. And, I mean, at Full Spectrum, they are desperate right now. They have to make something happen or their playoff dreams die right here tonight. But 16,000 gold down. Copy finds another beautiful Scatter the Week. And you can see Full Spectrum, they'll go for anything right now. They're trying to look for Tenacity. But this is a full AD gameplay! This is a GP with IE and Essence
man!
Reaver.
Oh my god! Tenacity has no mercy whatsoever. Take no prisoners. Take no names necessary here for 100 Thieves. They have been an absolute pleasure to watch as they just completely destroy Full Spectrum one by one. Sudsy trying to do as all as he can, potentially a quadra, but Tenacity will scumbag steal it away from Copy. And just like that, Audio, 100 Thieves next. They come in with Flare once again, and they wipe out Full Spectrum.
Absolute dominance from the squad here is... Polino walks away from that! He took 3 ticks of the fountain turret and walks out alive! Doesn't want to ruin his perfect KDA! They're just padding their stats at this point. I wanted them to go for the fountain dive, I really did. Oh my word.
Oh man.
Just complete dominance.
I don't know if you saw, Audio, but at 27 minutes into the game, the mentality of Full Spectrum was so shaken, so demoralized. Even one of them called for a surrender vote. Now, maybe they could have done that in a joking way, but you never know, right? We don't know what's happening.
They surrendered in game 1, so...
Yeah, and they FF game 1, so they were ready to just throw in the towel and pull up the white flag and say, please, stop, we get it. You're better than us. You're playing better than us. Like, just leave us alone. We need one of those. We need the GIF from the Simpsons where they're just like, stop. He's already dead. Leave him alone.
Looking at the stats after the game, which, my word, Sudsy had the most gold on Full Spectrum, 10,754. He had 44 more gold than Poom, who was the lowest income member on 100 Thieves. Every other member had almost 1,000 gold at least over the most fed member of Full Spectrum. And I mean, let's talk about Copy that game. 11, 0, and 10, participated in 21 out of 28 kills. And those Scatter the Weeks were perfect, absolutely flawless throughout the game. Nearly every single play started off with Copy hitting crucial backline members with Scatter the Week. It was actually disgusting the amount of prowess 100 Thieves put out this game. I thought that Full Spectrum did a much better job in game number 1. They picked the stronger dueling top and jungle combination. They weathered through the early game, and they looked on point to make it to a state where their late game composition could start contesting these big objectives. But when it came down to actually executing on their plays, just time and time again, we saw whiffed ultimates and just walking up, and Copy was always there just gatekeeping them from every single fight, saying, you want to fight around Dragon? Too bad your ADC is gone. Too bad your jungler is gone. He just deleted everything.
Yeah, I can imagine at some point where Violus is just trying to rotate between one of the lanes and through the jungle, and suddenly Scatter the Week from Fog of War, and I can just imagine him at the desk like, man, this dude, like, it's like, what is he supposed to do at that point? He doesn't get to have the Tom Kench on his side. The Braum can only do so much, especially when he's not there to assist him. It's almost like if Violus is like a very poor old man that needs elderly assistance to walk him across the sidewalk to make sure that a car doesn't run him over. And every time that car was a semi-auto truck in the form of Copy's Syndra.
Absolutely disgusting. 100 Thieves also played the macro just immaculately. You saw they never took a 5v5 fight where they didn't have a numbers advantage. So whether it was Tenacity walking all the way up to a fight, even when he had teleport and ultimate available, or Copy just picking somebody off at the start, they played a 1-3-1 for probably 75% of that game. And the only fights they took was when they had gotten a flank or gotten a pick, and that's when they forced objectives. But you saw so much. They were dancing around that Baron, just constantly baiting the enemy team in. So, I mean, I'm just floored with how well 100 Thieves played, not only that game, but just that entire series.
Absolutely. And what a monstrosity of a showing from 100 Thieves. And for that will end Full Spectrum's run here in the playoffs for the UPL. But 100 Thieves next, they've got still quite a long road ahead of them as they had to take the losers bracket out, unfortunately, due to forfeiting their winners bracket match a couple weeks ago. And but I mean, this speaks levels of confidence for me that 100
I
Thieves
mean,
next should still be able to make it all the way.
it may just be the big bang brain strat. They just wanted to go through the losers bracket.
Oh
Wanted
my
to
god.
avoid the big dogs up there in the winners bracket. So I mean, obviously, I'm not accusing them of that. I'm sure that they, would always rather take the tougher opponents when they have the chance. But this is a team that, if they remain on this form, is looking like a serious contender for taking it all.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Upsurge Premier League, as well as the staff, our wonderful production manager, Hypertension, and my co-caster, Audio here. It was such a pleasure. This was our first time casting together. It's been a long time coming. We've both seen each other around the scene, but never
It's
able
about
to work with
time.
other directly. But
And
finally,
what a
it's about
series.
time. And what a fun series to be able to debut the cast with. So I hope everyone at well,
Unless you're a full spectrum fan.
unlucky. Better luck next split, I guess. But so there are some things that are out of their control, and they just have to take what they can from it. But thank you so much, everyone who was watching at home. Everyone, have a wonderful evening.